fan of this video, like and subscribe. Enjoy. Polar is a movie about an assassin who is close to retirement, who is being pressured into doing one less job to take down the murderers of a recently retired assassin. When he refuses, the company turns to assassinate him instead. The director, Jonas Arklund, is a Swedish director of both film and music, as well as a drummer. His last movie was a horror movie called Lords of Chaos, but he is well known for being deeply respected in the music industry, working with such artists as Madonna, Paul McCartney, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and many more. So I was excited to see how well he would do making a movie out of the webcomic adaptation of Polar. The movie Polar is a neo-noir action film starring Mads Mikkelsen as Duncan Wiesla, aka Black Kaiser, who is retiring from the assassin business. Mads started his career in 1996 after being a gymnast and a dancer, which you can see the remnants of throughout his choreography. He has starred in many other works such as 007 Quantum of Solace in the role of Lit Chef, and most notably playing Dr. Hannibal Lecter in Hannibal. Vanessa Hudgens, she plays a shy neighbor named Camille, who Duncan takes a liking to. She is an actor as well as a singer and has starred in such roles as High School Musical 3 Senior Year, Sucker Punch, and as well as Machete Kills. Catherine Winnick plays Vivian, a contact with the Assassins organization who is trying to hire Duncan for one last assassination job, to kill the people who killed recently retired assassin Michael Green, played by Johnny Knoxville. Catherine is an actress who is best known for TV roles in Bones and Vikings. And then we have Matthew Lucas, who plays Mr. Blood, who is the leader of the Assassins Corporation named Damocles. He is best known for his roles in Doctor Who, playing Doctor Who's companion Nardole. He is possibly one of the most annoying characters literally in the history of the world. I hate this guy. So the premise to this movie is actually really dumb. As an assassin in this world, you have to retire by the age of 50. So you get a pension when you retire at 50. You receive millions of dollars in this pension. However, what the company doesn't tell you that's giving you the pension is if you die before you retire, they get all the money. So obviously it benefits them to kill you before you retire. So literally, if you would have read that in the fine print as an assassin who's supposed to be a meticulous person by nature, then you would know what the hell's going on. Like, why would you sign a contract like that? Doesn't make any sense. So we had a lot of problems with that already as the plot unfolded itself. Something you also notice very quickly in this movie is the CGI is horrible. Literally the first scene you see a CGI bird flying over some terrain, and it can't look any worse than it is right there. It's almost impossible. The blood CGI was also terrible. It will distract you. As soon as you see it, you will notice it. The camera work was also pretty shoddy. There was a lot of unnecessary scenes where the camera was shaking. I guess it was trying to get you grounded in his world, but it was unnecessary in a simple conversation in a grocery store. The editing also will give you a headache in the beginning of the movie. A simple 10-second drive from the grocery store to his house, there was, I exaggerate not, 20 cutscenes of him driving in, above the car, to the side of the car, the view in front of him looking into the car. It was unbelievable. I literally got a headache. Now, the style of the film had a Robert Rodriguez feel to it. It was pretty much a shittier version of Machete. Besides that, that's all I could really say about it. I mean, it looked alright in some spots here and there. The style was very alternative. Now let's get into the spoilers part of the movie. So I'm warning you now, spoilers are ahead. So if you haven't seen the movie, I would suggest turn off, see the movie, come back. Or if you don't care, keep watching. So basically the movie starts out with Michael Green, played by Johnny Knoxville, getting killed right away. It's actually a pretty funny scene. One part of the scene was him getting shot and him still having an erection because this girl was turning him on. And as he dies, he lays down, and the people are walking away from the scene, and his erection slowly goes down. So I thought that was pretty funny. I liked it. Normally not my type of humor per se, but I thought it was pretty good. The movie actually was a lot funnier than I thought it was gonna be. There were some really great scenes with a lot of humor. One scene, a guy was being interrogated by 4 assassins. He tried to jump out the window. He hit the window, fell on his back. They shot him, and after he was dead, the window shattered into pieces. So I thought that was pretty clever. Duncan is now in Minnesota. He's hiding out. He's trying to live a normal life, trying to normalize himself from the assassin life. He's walking around town. There's a lady on the side of the road. She's like, "Hey, I have a dog, $50." He's like, "No, I don't want the dog." 3 seconds later, in a different scene, the dog's in the front seat of his car. He's taking it back to his cabin, and then he ends up killing the dog by accident. He shoots the dog in his sleep because he's having nightmare flashbacks of what he did in the past to a family in a car, which will become relevant as the story goes on. During this entire time, Vivian is still trying to get Duncan to assassinate one last time, and he's reluctant, very reluctant. She reminds him that he is still active for 14 days. During this time period as well, we're introduced to Camille. This is Duncan's neighbor. She's a real shy girl. They have almost like a forced relationship. You could tell right off the bat that he doesn't want to talk and she's real shy. So their conversations are really bland. It's kind of boring until you figure out why at the end, which, it will be covered all the way at the end what's going on between the two. So it's pretty interesting. Apparently they don't know each other, but as you'll find out, they do. So Mr. Bloat is telling his upper echelons of, they appear to be stockholders into his business, that if an assassin can be killed before he retires, that the company collects his money. So this is where it all begins, the fight against Duncan. He has a group of 4 or 5 assassins trained, an interesting team to say the least, that are now on the hunt for Duncan. They can't find him. They're looking all over the place. Duncan has left different addresses at different locations, so they're having a real hard time finding him. Eventually they find him locked up in a cabin. So apparently in this world you don't need intuition as an assassin, because to set up that scene where the assassins find him in the log cabin, he finds a woman on the side of the road. He picks her up, brings her home. He has sex with her. Of course, naturally, she's an assassin plant, which obviously you could tell in the movie what's going on. And then the assassins shoot at him with a sniper. Obviously, every bullet misses him. He ends up slaughtering all of them. But beknownst to him, Mr. Bloat's girlfriend happens to be one of those people he murdered. So Mr. Bloat is out for revenge. He ends up stealing Camellia, kidnapping her. And how did they know that, like, they're friends? Because it never was mentioned that anyone else knew them. I don't know. But either way, now Camelia's captured, and now Duncan has to find her. Duncan's now ready for war. He looks up one of his old connections from back in the day, who double crosses him and brings him right to Mr. Bloat. Mr. Bloat and him have a pretty intense torture scene. I mean, they're cutting it up pretty good for about 3 days. So that was pretty brutal, to say the least. But eventually, of course, the cliche bad guy talking too much allowed him to escape. So that was, everybody saw it coming. Duncan's not going to die being tortured by Mr. Bloat. It was pretty brutal, but he got his way out of it. My favorite scene in the movie comes next. It was a tunnel fight scene. After he escaped, he was already all beat up, cut up. He was missing an eye. He got stabbed in the eye. It was pretty brutal. So to see him fight his way out of that was pretty impressive. The choreography was amazing in that scene. I really liked it. there was a lot of consequences to that scene as well, because he did get shot twice. So it's not like every other action movie where the everybody misses every shot. He had some real consequences in that scene. Camille's still missing at this point in time. He is, he's all beat up, all battered. He hooks up with one of his old connections back in the day. She supplies him with a whole army of weapons. It's pretty amazing. They have 50 cal machine guns with lasers coming out your hands, so that way they can direct the fire to any direction you want just by moving your hands. It was awesome. It's over the top violence that's about to happen next, which of course he goes after Mr. Blood and his team. The assassins, they track him. There's about 30 of them now after he killed all the professional ones. The assassins track him down. He destroys them all, including Vivian. She had a chance to escape. He gave her an opportunity to back out of it, but she was so confident that she had him, and she didn't. It's kind of sad, but the problem is that you only see Vivian a little bit, so like maybe if you got to know her a little bit better, it would have hit me a lot harder, but it didn't do it for me like that. Finally, we get to Mr. Blood. Duncan is after him all the way. He just killed a ton of people. Mr. Blood's guards all abandoned him. So we've been building to this point the whole movie. The torture scene, you want to see some revenge. You want to see Duncan take it on him. Of course, it's an over-the-top movie, so you would expect that you would see what happens to Mr. Blood. But you don't, and it's really annoying. Duncan gets to his mansion. His guards are all walking by him, like saying, "Excuse me, sir, excuse me." So that's pretty funny, because the guards gave up by then. Mr. Blood is like, "Alright, I'm gonna fuck him up." So you get to the scene where Duncan finally confronts Mr. Blood, and then it cuts to the outside of the building. Mr. Blood's head comes out of a window, so you don't get to see what happens, and it's completely unsatisfying in my opinion. This is an over-the-top violent movie. I want to see what happened to this bastard who was torturing him throughout the movie, stole his girl, everything. Like it was really annoying. So there was a pretty nice twist at the end that I really enjoyed. Camellia is back home. Duncan saved her. They're at the cabin. All of a sudden, Camellia pulls out a gun on Duncan. Duncan is not really shocked by it, which I was a little confused by at first, and then they explained what happened. The flashbacks that Duncan killed the family was actually Camelia's family that he ended up killing. He's been sending her money secretly, paid for her college, stuff like that. Camellia was obviously the little girl in the car, that family that he killed. So it was a nice twist. That kind of explained why their relationship, their friendship was a little weird, a little off, because they didn't really talk to each other. It looked like they were really uncomfortable because they both knew what was going on. And then Duncan, they basically, this is like the tipping point for him. He knows he done wrong. He wants to die. So it shows Camellia pointed the gun at him, telling her, squeeze the trigger. She squeezes the trigger, it cuts, and Duncan's still alive after that. I was like, what? That is ridiculous. I mean, that kind of ruined the twist a little bit, but it was pretty interesting. I didn't expect it, so I liked it. The fact that Duncan didn't die, I didn't like, but I mean, that's how Hollywood goes. They're probably looking to make a sequel or something out of it. I would rate this movie a 2 out of 5 stars. There was parts that drug on a lot. The CGI was terrible. Some of the editing was horrendous. But if you like over-the-top violence, those scenes worked then. If that's something that you're really interested in. I probably wouldn't watch the movie again myself. I didn't really like it too much. It's basically a movie you want to put in the background, as long as you don't have kids in the room, because there's a lot of nudity, drugs, violence, things like that. Well, you made it to the end of the video. I really appreciate you watching the entire thing. I'm starting out. This is my first video on YouTube, my first movie review. So I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe, and please comment below. Obviously, I'm looking for criticisms of this. I wanna know what I could do better as a movie review producer. So please comment. Let me know what you think. I appreciate everything you guys have done, for this channel or going to do for this channel. I thank you guys so much. Thank you and peace out.